My maid's daughter stole my life online, posing as a pitiful victim and promising a $5 million donation. The nanny's daughter made a fortune live streaming my life. When I donated 500,000 yuan to underprivileged students, she grandly declared she would donate 5 million. The audience erupted in thunderous applause for her heroic feat, while condemning me as a heartless, hypocritical rich girl. They reviled me, telling me to take my measly 500,000, an amount fit only for tossing to beggars, and get lost. That very night, a video of me showering in the dorm went viral across the internet. It turned out that to scrape together the funds for that 5 million yuan donation, the nanny's daughter had secretly stashed her live streaming phone in a corner of the bathroom. The stream drew over 10 million viewers, with virtual gifts pouring in ceaselessly. The next day, she made the 5 million yuan donation as promised, becoming the campus belle, an heiress admired for both her beauty and her kind heart. So, when I called the police to have her arrested, the entire student body testified on her behalf, insisting that I had stolen her phone and staged the whole incident myself. Even the campus heartthrob I liked, disgusted and repulsed by the fact that I'd been exposed naked to the world, turned his back on me and fell for the brave and kind Zhao Yi instead. I eventually succumbed to depression and died amidst relentless online harassment. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn to the very day Zhao Yi announced her 5 million yuan donation, a move she claimed was solely to ensure every impoverished student could live through their 4 years of college with dignity. I promptly cleared out of the dorm and moved back into my villa. You damn parasite, go live on thin air. During my freshman year, when I learned that Aunt Zhao, our family's housekeeper, had a daughter who had been accepted into the same university as me, I kindly invited her to share the best double room on campus with me. I even promised to give her a monthly allowance of 5,000 yuan so she wouldn't have to worry about living expenses. Zhao Yi merely scoffed and said with disdain, "No need. I have my own ways of making money." She had grown up without a father. Although Aunt Zhao earned a decent salary, she still had to support 3 younger brothers. I was puzzled by her reaction but didn't press the issue. Little did I know, however, that the way Zhao Yi chose to make money was by live streaming my life. Every night, she would go live to show everyone how I lived. Hey guys, have you ever seen the life of a real heiress? Look at this bottle of face cream, it costs 30,000 yuan. That's enough for an ordinary person to live on for a whole year. And look at this closet full of bags. I hear the cheapest ones cost tens of thousands, while the expensive ones run into the hundreds of thousands or even millions. Yeah, they're my roommate's bags. I guess she just won the birth lottery. But I'm not jealous at all. I've worked hard my whole life, and I believe that with my own effort, my future won't be any worse than hers. See? I managed to get into the same university as her, didn't I? Listening to Zhao Yi's cheerful voice and the videos. Viewers in the live stream were not only amazed by my lavish lifestyle but also drawn to her resilient spirit and bubbly, outgoing personality. Many even felt deeply sorry for her. Living with a rich girl like that, you must have to put up with a lot of unfair treatment, right? Whenever that came up, Zhao Yi would step out onto the balcony, putting on a brave face while her voice choked with emotion. Oh, it's nothing really. It's just serving tea and water, massaging her back and legs, doing the cleaning and running errands, plus washing her clothes, shoes, and socks, that's all. As long as I do those things right, she doesn't fly off the handle or hit and scold me. From that moment on, viewers sympathized with her plight. Her follower count skyrocketed, and the virtual gifts poured in. They hoped their money would help her stand tall and escape the abuse I was supposedly inflicting upon her. At first, I was furious about her behavior and warned her to stop immediately. But she would kneel and beg, tearfully insisting that she hadn't revealed any personal details about herself or me. She claimed that simply filming my belongings allowed her to gain a massive following, offering a lifeline of hope for her impoverished family. Moreover, whenever she made money, she would frequently treat the entire class to meals and bubble tea. She would even offer financial help to classmates who couldn't afford their tuition fees. Seeing her acts of charity, I had simply turned a blind eye and tolerated her behavior. But I never imagined that after using the money gifted by live stream viewers to reinvent herself as a beautiful, wealthy heiress in the eyes of our classmates, the first thing she would do was sow discord. She badmouthed me behind my back, claiming I frequently stayed out all night and that my money came from shady sources, effectively inciting the class to ostracize and bully me. It all came to a head at the school's fundraising event. When I pledged a donation of 500,000 yuan, my classmates scoffed, telling me to take my dirty money and get lost. Seizing the moment, Zhao Yi, the nanny's daughter, stepped onto the stage and announced a donation of 5 million yuan, drawing thunderous applause from the audience. In that instant, I finally realized just how unpopular I truly was. And yet, I hadn't done a single thing wrong. That very night, a high-definition video of me showering in the school dormitory went viral across the internet. I discovered that Zhao Yi, driven mad by her greed for money, had hidden her live streaming phone in a corner of the bathroom before I even started showering. Faced with the overwhelming barrage of filth and abuse online, I confronted her in tears, but she merely replied with an air of nonchalance. "Oops, sorry. I didn't mean to, I just forgot my phone there." But then again, you were posing so seductively while showering. You must have spotted the phone and intentionally wanted to show off for the big spenders in a live stream, right? News of the situation quickly reached my father. He mobilized the company's entire capital in a desperate bid to have all my videos scrubbed from the internet. Yet, the videos proved impossible to fully erase, and my identity was soon exposed. People immediately began stirring up a narrative that my father was an unscrupulous profiteer and that I was a product of a rotten upbringing, claiming the apple didn't fall far from the tree, which explained my supposedly wanton behavior. The company's reputation plummeted overnight. My father was overwhelmed, his hair turning gray from the stress. Meanwhile, I chose to report the matter to the police. To my dismay, however, the classmates who had received 5 million yuan handouts from Zhao Yi sided with her, convinced they were standing up for justice. They flatly refused to believe that a great philanthropist like Zhao Yi could be as vile and despicable as I claimed. Netizens even dug up videos from when Zhao Yi first started live streaming. In them, she would weep and lament her hardships, claiming her roommates bullied her and treated her like a beast of burden day and night, insisting she was at her breaking point. She spoke of feeling guilty toward her late father and her pitiful mother. She said that had she known university would be so agonizing, she never would have endured years of grueling study. Instead, she would have gone out to work early to support her family. Once these videos went viral, countless netizens, blind to the full picture, put the pieces together in their own minds and launched an even more frenzied online harassment campaign against me and my father, boycotting everything associated with our family's company. Facing a united boycott from everyone, the company quickly collapsed into bankruptcy, and my father died of a heart attack. I was reviled wherever I went, until the entire student body banded together to drag me out of school. With nowhere left to turn, I ended up destitute on the streets, eventually dying in misery. Meanwhile, Zhao Yi became a beloved internet celebrity known for her beauty and kindness. She even ended up with the campus heartthrob I had admired, living a blissful, perfect life. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn to the very day I had donated 500,000 yuan at the school's charity event. Jeers erupted from the audience. Su Xingman. Take your dirty money and get lost. Who knows where that money even came from? We'd rather starve than take a single cent from you. Ugh, it makes me sick. The next moment, amidst the crowd's astonished gazes, Zhao Yi gracefully stepped onto the podium. Head held high like a proud peacock, she declared firmly. Tomorrow, I will donate 5 million yuan. Not for any other reason, but simply so that every student from an impoverished background can live their 4 years of university happily and with dignity, free from any financial burden. Thunderous applause broke out. Wow! She truly is my goddess. Dropping 5 million just like that, she's absolutely captivating. Exactly. I love Yi. She's a genuine heiress, worlds apart from certain people who pretend to be rich while actually being morally bankrupt. Su Xingman, get the hell off the stage. Don't stand next to my goddessy. You're tainting the noble air around her. Facing the looks of disgust and contempt from the students below, the agony of my death and my past life washed over me like a tidal wave. My heart felt like it was being torn apart. I couldn't stop trembling. Zhao Yi walked up to me with a smile and whispered, "Oh, Miss Su, what should we do? It seems the students don't like you. I told you long ago not to be so aloof, and certainly not to look down your nose at everyone." Heh! Zhao Yi's voice snapped me back to reality. Since I've been reborn, I certainly won't let her get her way this time. You'd better watch yourself, Zhao Yi. With that, I turned to leave the stage, but then I remembered the 500,000 yuan I had just donated. I wasn't about to let that money go to waste on this bunch of ungrateful ingrates who couldn't tell right from wrong. I turned back and reached out to take the donation check I had just handed to the teacher. But the teacher clutched the check tightly. Meeting his furrowed brow, I pointed at the students below who were still jeering at me and explained, "They're the ones who said they didn't want it. Why should I debase myself by insisting on giving it to them?" The teacher clicked his tongue in displeasure. "But the school has already ordered 200 air conditioning units based on your donation. We were planning to install them in the standard dormitories for the students. It's so hot out, the students really need air conditioning. You can't just ignore their plight, or even their lives, simply because you happen to have AC in your double room, can you?" I pursed my lips toward Zhao Yi, who was standing stiffly to the side with her chin held high, and said with a playful, mocking tone, "Look, didn't she say she was going to donate 5 million tomorrow? Compared to that, what is this measly sum of mine?" The shouts from the crowd below rose in waves. "Teacher, you don't know the whole story. Hurry up and give Su Xingwan back her dirty money. We really don't need it. Zhao Yi is the school's real mysterious heiress. She treats our whole class to meals all the time. If she says she's donating 5 million, you can bet it'll be at least that much, if not more." "Exactly, teacher. Besides, what kind of quality could you get for 500,000 yuan, 200 units? In this heat, it's doubtful they'd even cool the rooms properly." "Right. Well said. With the 5 million he is donating, we can pick top-tier AC units, warm in winter and cool in summer. Just thinking about it makes me happy. Oh, you really are the absolute best heiress and campus beauty in the world." Zhao Yi basked in the lavish praise from her classmates, feeling like the most wonderful person on earth. Overjoyed and throwing all caution to the wind, she snatched the check right out of the teacher's hand, shoved it into my arms, and said impatiently, "Did you hear that? The students couldn't care less about your money. Stop trying to make a scene and just get lost." Then, turning back to the teacher, I gave my solemn assurance that I would deliver the 5 million yuan on time the very next day. I instructed the teacher to cancel the order for those 200 standard air conditioners, just as the students had demanded, and replace them with top-quality heating and cooling units. Ensuring the students' comfort was the absolute priority. Thunderous applause erupted from the audience once more. Enduring hundreds of scornful glares, I jogged out of the massive multi-purpose classroom. I had far more important things to do than engage in a war of words with them. Tonight was the night Zhao Yi would secretly hide her phone in the bathroom, waiting for me to shower. I had to clear out of the dormitory and move back to my own villa within the hour, before she finished basking in everyone's flattery and returned to the room. With that in mind, I immediately called Uncle Qian, our housekeeper, and told him to send 3 maids over right away to help me move. I also ordered that, before I arrived home, Zhao Yi's mother, Auntie Zhao, be reassigned to guard the villa in the suburbs. Under no circumstances was she to find out I was coming back. About 30 minutes later, the 3 maids checked in and came upstairs to help me pack. "Miss, which items should we take with us?" "Everything." "Do we need to take the things from the other bed and cabinet as well?" "Of course." Ever since we started university, Zhao Yi would verbally refuse my financial support. In reality, whenever I bought new clothes or other items, she would cast envious glances my way, tell me she had never owned such high-quality things growing up, and squeeze out a few pitiful tears for effect. Inevitably, I would feel too guilty to keep everything for myself and would share a portion with her. After this happened so many times, it became a habit. Whether I bought things myself or had them sent from home, I would always prepare 2 sets, keeping one for myself and setting the other aside for her. Consequently, from her very first day at university, Zhao Yi never spent a single penny of her own money. Her food, clothing, and daily necessities were all provided by me. Naturally, everything she owned in a dorm had been a gift from me. It was only right that I take them back now. As for the money she earned from her live streams, she spent it all on currying favor with others, all to deliver a fatal blow to me in the end. In my past life, just before I died, I asked Zhao Yi why she hated me so much. She merely gave a scornful laugh. I just couldn't stand the sight of you. My mom told me that despite being a good-for-nothing, you managed to get into the same university as me simply because your dad donated a building. And even though I was clearly far more capable than you, I was assigned to a standard dorm without air conditioning, only to end up in a double room thanks to your charity. Is that fair? My mom even said your monthly allowance was enough for my whole family to live on for 3 years. On what grounds? From that day on, I made a vow. I, Zhao Yi, would absolutely trample you underfoot. Heh. I did it, didn't I? I nodded with satisfaction as I watched the maids efficiently clear out the dormitory until nothing remained. The chauffeur was waiting downstairs with the Rolls-Royce. Amidst the astonished gazes of my classmates, I stepped into the car with composure. In this lifetime, there is absolutely no way I will be as low-key and weak as I was in the last one, a weakness that led to my own death and the destruction of the family who loved me most. It wasn't until the chauffeur drove the car back to the villa that the tension in my chest finally eased. Only then did I realize I had been clenching my fists so tightly my nails were digging into my palms. When I struggled to open my hands, they were slick with sweat. Hearing the sounds of my arrival, Dad came out of the house, delighted to welcome me home. Nan, what brings you back? Did you miss Dad? Dad. Daddy. The moment I saw him, the strength drained from my body, which I had been holding up through sheer willpower, and I collapsed to the floor with a heavy thud. Before I lost consciousness, I heard Dad shouting in a panic. Nan. What's wrong? Quick, get the doctor. After returning home, I suffered a persistent high fever and didn't wake up again for 2 days. I unlocked my phone and, seeing thousands of unread messages, couldn't help but chuckle. They were all from Zhao Yi, filled with accusations after she returned to the dorm to find it completely empty. Her panic and mental breakdown were palpable between the lines. Su Xingman, why is the dorm empty? Did you do this? Where did you go? What the hell is wrong with you? Where is my stuff? Hey, princess. Did you go shopping? You aren't planning to replace everything in the dorm with new stuff, are you? If you were going to replace things, you should have told me beforehand. I still needed some of that stuff. You just threw it all out without a word. Do you have any respect for others at all? Su Xingman, I'm talking to you. When are you coming back? What time is it? Aren't you coming back tonight? You threw out all my things. What am I supposed to use? Hurry back. You even threw out the mattress. I don't have a change of clothes or anywhere to sleep tonight. Su Xingman. You have to come back tonight. You hear me? Otherwise, I swear I won't let you get away with this. Why did the dorm manager say you checked out of the room? And told me to move to a standard dorm? Su Xingman, have you lost your mind? There isn't even air conditioning there. How am I supposed to stand it in this heat? What on earth is wrong with you? Are you angry just because the other students said they didn't like you earlier today? Let me tell you, if you bully me like this, everyone will only hate you more. You're going to regret it. I couldn't be bothered to read the rest. It was nothing more than the impotent, furious threats of Zhao Yi. Once I had recovered, I had the housekeeper fire Auntie Zhao at the first opportunity, then packed my things and returned to school. This time, however, I brought 2 bodyguards along. After coordinating with the school, I had them pose as gardeners, staying within 30 meters of me at all times to ensure my safety. I also limited my time on campus to attending classes during the day, returning home to sleep at night. There was absolutely no way I was going to give Zhao Yi another chance to sabotage me. As soon as I walked into the classroom, I saw the other students gathered in a tight huddle. Naturally, Zhao Yi was at the center, surrounded by the crowd like a star. But this time, the looks they gave her weren't filled with blind adoration, there were faint traces of suspicion and dissatisfaction. Everyone was chiming in with complaints. When exactly are you going to donate that 5 million you talked about? By the time your donation actually arrives, it'll take days for the school to finish installing the AC units, and the heat is unbearable right now. Ever since I heard we were getting AC, I haven't been able to stand a single day without it. Exactly, You moved into our dorm to get a taste of real life, didn't you? You must be tossing and turning all night in this heat, unable to sleep, right? So, what are you waiting for? Just then, the teacher in charge of donations came rushing over, out of breath. He grabbed me. I had been leaning against the classroom doorframe, watching the spectacle unfold. Come with me. Let's get that 500,000 yuan donation processed. His voice made the crowd of students surrounding Zhao Yi turn to look at me. They then spoke up with expressions of disgust. Teacher! What are you doing? Didn't we already agree? We don't want her donation. Zhao Yi is going to donate 5 million. The teacher caught his breath and snapped at them angrily. It's been days, and I haven't seen so much as 500 yuan. I've asked her for the money privately a few times, but she just hems and haws without giving a straight answer. It's obvious she doesn't have the money to donate. With that, the teacher, his frustration finally boiling over, lashed out directly at Zhao Yi, who was standing at the center of the crowd. If you didn't have the money, why put on such a show of wealth? You made me lose out on the 500,000 I already had in the bag, so where is the money? Forget 5 million, I'd settle for just 500,000 at this point. You even had me swap the AC units for top-of-the-line ones. Seeing all our classmates vouch for you so confidently, I was foolish enough to actually believe it. Now the new units are here, the bill comes to over 1 million. The supplier is just waiting for payment to start the installation. Tell me, what am I supposed to use to pay them? Zhao Yi's face went deathly pale. She opened her mouth as if to speak but stopped, biting her lower lip in silence. The look she shot me was venomous. So, because I didn't end up destitute and ruined, as she had intended, she's actually blaming me? It was absolutely absurd. But to my utter shock, Lin Jishu, for the first time ever, spoke up to criticize Zhao Yi. I know it's hard to scrape together 5 million on short notice, so why make a promise you couldn't keep? Even if Su Xingmon's money might not be entirely clean, the well-being of our classmates comes first. It's sweltering out. Getting the AC installed is the top priority. Does everyone agree? The students immediately chimed in. Agreed. I agree too. As long as we get AC, I don't care who puts up the money. Lin Jishu nodded with satisfaction and turned to me. So, Su Xingmon, since everyone is willing to give you this chance to contribute to the student body, come with me and go ahead with that donation of 500,000. Of course, if you're sincere and willing to put up a bit more money, that would be even better. Lin Jishu was the campus heartthrob I had a crush on. On the first day of freshman year, I fell for him at first sight. He was incredibly handsome. At first, I could genuinely sense that he was interested in me, too. But at some point, he began to drift away and gravitate toward Zhao Yi instead. Although I was heartbroken, I wasn't the type to fight over a man. It wasn't until after I died that I realized the truth. As Zhao Yi's wealth became apparent, Lin Jishu decided she was the key to his meteoric rise. Without a second thought, he abandoned his feelings for me and willingly became Zhao Yi's devoted protector. In my past life, he had exploited my affection. At my most vulnerable moment, when I was trying to call the police on Zhao Yi, he tricked me into trusting him. He coaxed me into saying things that were ambiguous, and it was precisely those ill-timed words that made most people side with Zhao Yi, leaving me with absolutely no chance to clear my name. But now, because I hadn't managed to get Zhao Yi to successfully donate that 5 million, Lin Jishu had started to doubt her financial standing. So, there he stood before me, his face breathtakingly handsome, ordering me to make the donation. Perhaps if I actually donated the money and proved my financial strength, he would likely consider coming back to me, yet my heart no longer stirred in the slightest for him. I just hated that I couldn't strangle him right then and there. Unable to help myself, I rolled my eyes and snapped at Lin Jishu. Just because you tell me to donate, I have to? Well, if I told you to go die, would you? At this, Lin Jishu's eyes widened in disbelief as he stared at me. Su Xingman, have you lost your mind? It was in my past life, when that scumbag and his green tea girlfriend ruined my family, that I was truly the one who had lost my mind. I ignored them all. There was absolutely no way I was donating. Not now, not ever again. Seeing my firm stance, and knowing they couldn't exactly rob me, the teacher glared at Zhao Yi, stomped their feet, and left. A deathly silence fell over the classroom. After all, they did want air conditioning, but seeing Zhao Yi's reaction, they were no longer certain she would actually pay for it, and their pride wouldn't let them beg me. The atmosphere was incredibly heavy. Throughout the day's lessons, even the teachers noticed the students' lack of enthusiasm. But what did that have to do with me? Finally, the day's classes ended. Zhao Yi walked toward me. Seeing me packing up to leave, she hurriedly blocked my path. Where are you going? I didn't even bother to look up. Home, of course. Where else? You aren't staying in the school dorms anymore? Why? I thought living in a dorm would be convenient at first, but now I find living in my family's big villa much more enjoyable. Is that a problem? Hearing this, Zhao Yi hurriedly said. Then I want to come home and live with you, too. I laughed in disbelief. On what grounds? Zhao Yi paused for a moment. Because my mom works at your house. I want to visit her and stay over for a bit. That's not too much to ask, is it? You don't even need to go to the trouble of preparing a guest room for me. I can just sleep in the same bed as you. I couldn't help but roll my eyes. In your dreams. Just stay put in that 8-person dorm of yours, the one without air conditioning, okay? Su Xingman, have you thought this through? Are you sure you want to treat me this way? Amidst Zhao Yi's barrage of questions, I hummed a little tune and walked away without looking back. That evening, I logged into a burner account, found Zhao Yi's profile using memories from my past life, and entered her live stream. She wasn't showing her face. The camera was focused on the 8-person dorm room where she was staying. Since there was no air conditioning, her roommates were dressed in skimpy clothing. Some were even changing clothes, and Zhao Yi made no effort to shield the camera. She was whispering an explanation to her viewers. I'm so sorry, guys. I promised to show you the rich heiress, but she kicked me out of the dorm. Of course, I couldn't possibly offend her. Heiresses are just so temperamental. How could a poor, pitiful student like me ever stand up to her? I'm basically at her mercy. It's all thanks to the big spenders in the stream who took pity on me and sent tips so I could afford to eat. It's a shame no one wants to help me anymore. Sob. Tomorrow, I'll have to settle for the free seaweed and egg drop soup in a school cafeteria. A big spender in the chat replied. We tipped you because you promised to let us get a good look at that rich heiress, inside and out. Who wants to look at this bunch of poor students in your stream? They're all scrawny and dark-skinned. What's there to see? Hurry up and show us the heiress. Otherwise, pay back all the tips we gave you. So, it turned out this was all a calculated, premeditated scheme by Zhao Yi to make money. Seething with anger, I hurriedly started recording the screen. Seeing the big spenders demanding a refund, Zhao Yi whispered anxiously, promising that she would definitely let them see the heiress. I was incredibly relieved that I had sternly warned Zhao Yi never to film me and had always kept a close eye on where she positioned her phone camera during her streams. So, before she secretly filmed me in the shower, everyone in the live stream had only heard about me through Zhao Yi's exaggerated, distorted stories and seeing my personal belongings. They had never actually laid eyes on me. This time, I was determined to expose Zhao Yi's true colors to everyone. Early the next morning, as soon as I arrived in the classroom, I saw the usual crowd of classmates gathered around Zhao Yi. But this time, she didn't look smug or arrogant. Instead, her eyes were red and swollen, a clear sign she had been crying for a long time. Could it be that she had run out of money and could no longer keep up the charade? But the very next moment, I realized I was wrong. The classmates surrounding her also had red eyes, and without exception, they were all apologizing to her. "I'm sorry, E. We misunderstood you yesterday. Sorry, E. We shouldn't have doubted you. We really had no idea you were so kind and selfless. Despite coming from a poor background, you still went out of your way to do so much for us." Even Lin Jishu, the school heartthrob who was notorious for being a snob and was determined to marry into wealth, looked at her with an expression of genuine sincerity. "I originally thought you were just a wealthy, kind-hearted heiress who was sheltered from the real world. But I never expected you to remain untainted by your surroundings, so strong and wonderful. To earn so much money to help your classmates while facing such crushing adversity. Rest assured, no matter what happens from now on, I will stand firmly by your side." I couldn't stand listening to it anymore. I looked at them as if they were fools. What exactly has Zhao Yi done? She's brainwashed you all to this extent. Hearing my sudden interjection, the entire class turned in unison to look at me. Lin Jishu clenched his fists and strode over to me, the bulging veins in his neck revealing his rage. Su Xingman apologized to Zhao Yi. The chorus of agreement from the class grew louder and louder. "Right. Apologize. Su Xingman, get on your knees and apologize to Yi. Otherwise, the whole class will never forgive you." I was utterly speechless. "So, what exactly did Zhao Yi tell you? Do you even know where the money she gave you came from? Do you still think she's some genuine heiress?" "Enough!" Lin Jishu raised his hand, signaling me to shut up. "We knew you'd try to sow discord. Yi told us everything. Even though she isn't actually a wealthy heiress, she earns her money through her own efforts by live streaming. We don't find that shameful at all. And on top of that, she made so much money. We checked her bank records. She took every penny she earned from her grueling live streams and shared it all with her classmates. That is truly selfless and noble. How could you bring yourself to bully a kind, wonderful girl like her in the dorm? To force her to wait on you hand and foot? Just because you latched onto some wealthy old man who drives a Rolls Royce? And now you've even shamelessly moved into her villa? Ha! I was so angry I actually laughed. So, the driver who came to the dorm in a Rolls Royce to pick me up that day, Zhao Yi had spun that story to make it look like I was keeping a rich sugar daddy? Exasperated, I shot back. If Zhao Yi is so capable and good at making money, why hasn't she come up with the 5 million yuan donation she promised? To my surprise, as soon as I said that, the whole class turned their hostility toward me again. That's only because you're jealous that we like Yi and hate you. You knew perfectly well she was making money by live streaming your lavish lifestyle, yet you deliberately cleared out of the dorm and left. You just didn't want her making money anymore. You wanted to cut off our livelihood too, didn't you? I was dumbfounded. So, the fact that I didn't want Zhao Yi live streaming every aspect of my life somehow makes me the bad guy? Well, what else would you call it? Yi was willing to take all the money she'd earned and share it with the rest of us for her sake, but what about you? We could have lived well thanks to Yi's live streams without lifting a finger, yet you just had to go and sabotage it all. You simply can't stand the thought of anyone else doing better than you. Exactly. Everyone knows that lavish lifestyle of yours was bought with dirty deeds. What's so special about you, anyway? Lin Jishu furrowed his brows and issued a warning. I'm ordering you to move back into the dorm immediately so he can resume streaming and save up that 5 million. Otherwise, what are you going to do to me? I stared straight into Lin Jishu's face and declared, enunciating every word clearly. Su Xingmon, will never move back into that dorm. I know you've been living off the money Zhao Yi gave you. What? Gotten too used to the easy life? Can't kick the habit? From now on, not only will Zhao Yi stop making money, but you'll be left with nothing but thin air to eat right along with her. Do you understand? Now get out of my way. Lin Jishu hadn't expected such a fierce reaction from me. After a moment of stunned silence, he suddenly grabbed me by the collar and snarled through gritted teeth. Su Xingmon! Do you have any idea what you're saying? How dare you speak to me like that? Seeing this, Zhao Yi immediately broke down in tears. Classmates! Su Xingmon looks down on all of us. She bullies and torments me in the dorm every single day. I really don't know what to do anymore. Sob. I can't go on living like this. Sob, Su. Tear her clothes off. I want to make sure she can never lord it over me again. The classmates glared at me, filled with righteous indignation, and made moves to tear the clothes off me, the wicked girl, just as Zhao Yi had demanded. I was the only one who noticed Zhao Yi, standing in the middle of the crowd, pulling out her phone and aiming the camera right at me. She was just waiting for the moment my clothes were ripped open so she could send the video to the big spending sugar daddies in her live stream and rake in a fortune in tips. But the next second, my clothes weren't torn off as Zhao Yi had imagined. From the flower beds outside the classroom, my 2 bodyguards, who had been watering the plants, dropped their hoses and charged toward me like cheetahs. Before Lin Jishu could tear my clothes, they grabbed him by the back of his shirt and hurled him a great distance away. Miss! Are you all right? The classmates were stunned with fear. Faced with these 2 2-meter-tall giants, they didn't even dare to breathe. I glared at the person who had tried to lay a hand on me. Then, I said to the bodyguards, I'm fine. Go to the surveillance room, pull up the footage of them bullying me just now, and then take the video to the police. One of the bodyguards followed my instructions to pull the surveillance footage and call the police. The other stood right behind me, his presence so intimidating that not a single classmate dared to raise their voice at me again. Recalling what they had just done to me, some classmates began to feel afraid. Su Xingmon, we're all classmates. Why are you calling the police? Does being classmates mean you can just go around tearing at people's clothes? Well, you were the one who bullied Zhao Yi first. We were just standing up for her. Can't we just call it even now? Ha! I couldn't help but laugh out loud. You just take whatever she says as gospel? Which eye of yours saw me bullying her? Enough, save the talk. You can explain yourselves to the police in a little while. The police arrived quickly. Every classmate who had subjected me to verbal or physical abuse was taken to the station for questioning. Some of the timid ones were so terrified they wet their pants before they even left the classroom. You could smell the stench from quite a distance away. In addition to the classroom surveillance footage, I also provided the officers with evidence from Zhao Yi's live stream the previous night, where she had secretly filmed female classmates, some scantily clad or even in the middle of changing clothes, and broadcast the footage to an audience of tens of thousands. Zhao Yi was completely dumbfounded. After all, she had been incredibly secretive, never exposing her own private life and ensuring no one, myself included, knew her account details. Faced with the evidence I presented, she lashed out in a fit of defensive rage. You snooped through my phone? You violated my privacy. You're the one who belongs in jail. How dare you even call the police? But what she said didn't matter anymore. The girls who shared the dorm with her, having discovered they'd been secretly filmed and subjected to the lewd commentary of countless strangers online, were overcome with a mix of shame and fury. They wailed and sobbed, forgetting entirely that they were inside a police station. The 7 of them set upon Zhao, kicking and punching her wildly. Screams of agony filled the air. Zhao was no longer the perfect goddess everyone had imagined her to be. With the truth finally laid bare, my classmates realized I wasn't the vile, money-grubbing girl Zhao had painted me as. I was, in fact, a genuine heiress. She was merely the daughter of my family's housekeeper, having used underhanded tactics to rake in money and buy people's favor online, all driven by her jealousy of me and a desire to usurp my life. In the end, Zhao was sentenced for secretly filming her classmates' private moments. Her face was ashen and her eyes vacant, as if her very soul had been drained away. She was a far cry from the arrogant, triumphant figure she had been in my past life after successfully taking everything from me. My classmates lined up to apologize. But they, too, bore responsibility for my death in that previous life. I refused to forgive them easily. Instead, I demanded their living expenses for the entire semester as compensation. Naturally, Lin Jishu had to pay a larger settlement. Unable to come up with the money himself, he had to turn to his parents for help. His family was of modest means, but to avoid jail time, they scraped together 50,000 yuan to compensate me, after which his parents gave him a sound thrashing. Finally, Lin Jishu showed up with a bouquet, dropped to one knee, and confessed his feelings to me all over again. Xingmon, I'm sorry. I misjudged you in the past, but the real villain has been punished now. Please forgive me. Can we have a chance to start over? I swear. This time, I'll treat you right and never let anyone hurt you again. I took a deep breath, gathered my strength for a split second, and then delivered a fierce kick that knocked him flat on his back. Get lost, you scumbag!